Hi everybody, this is Eve. I have created this YouTube channel to express my thoughts and opinions on the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively situation. I have been following this case since the beginning, and I wasn't ever planning on posting about it or recording about it. I've been following a lot of other content creators and silently lurking in the background and reading the court filings. But this whole situation is starting to really piss me off. And, I don't know, I feel like, yes, it's important, this specific case, but I feel like there are bigger connotations. This goes much deeper and should be explored more. But first, to get the legalities out of the way. Everything said here is a culmination of my thoughts, my personal opinions, and just my speculations, and just me trying to explore potential ideas and overall meanings behind all of this. And then it is important to establish this, because most of us know, especially content creators here, how Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds like to intimidate and silence people who expose them for their lies, alleged lies, and their bad behavior. In my opinion, their criminal behavior by ways of media manipulation, subpoenas, SEO manipulation, the works. Now, I don't usually follow any kind of celebrity gossip. That's not really my thing. But as I said, with this case, there are a lot of important issues here surrounding the case. And these issues affect many people. Many people, not just in the United States, but many people in the world. We're dealing with this type of power and manipulation everywhere. So if we were to set aside the specific components of this case, which is important as well, where a woman falsely accuses a man of sexual harassment or sexual assault to get their own way, is something that actually not addressed as much as it should be. And now, allegedly. Now, I'm all for Me Too movement and women's rights, but as a woman, women are people too. We come in a whole bunch of different varieties. And with that being said, women can and do lie. That is not something that is exclusively male-driven. And what Blake Lively has done, in my opinion, has really hurt other women, credibility of other women, in my opinion, true victims. But that's not something I'm going to deep dive into right now. Right now, I want to discuss the overall implications of this case, which, in my opinion, is people in positions of wealth and power manipulating the rest of society. In addition, the power and media, such as the news and celebrity influence, and how that's all related to the people in positions of power and control over society as a whole. These type of people in power, they twist the truth, manipulate facts by spreading misleading narratives and sometimes straight out fucking lies. Now, it's true when people say, well, how can you say something is for sure about Blake Lively or Ryan Reynolds or even Justin Baldoni? You don't personally know them. And that's true. And obviously, these people have their private lives. Celebrities have their image that they're trying to create and front stage, backstage type of behaviors. However, even watching or listening to things her or Ryan Reynolds have said in the media, when I'm assuming they're trying to win people over and put their best foot forward, and you would think they would be on their best behaviors in that situation. But the things they have said and how they have acted do have overall implications of what type of person she is, or Ryan Reynolds in his interviews. Out of her own mouth, and his mouth too, they have said things that have been proven by other words of their own, or by, facts that were straight up lies. For example, her and Ryan Reynolds, for a while, claimed that they are hands-on parents and that they don't use nannies. And like they say, they promoted themselves as this whole family, not needing nannies, hands-on, that they can balance their celebrity life. And, I have nothing against working in parents that have to hire help. But this is something like, why even lie about it? Oh, I get why they want to, manipulate people and, set a certain image. But it's just crazy that they straight out lie about this. Now, some of her supporters or Ryan Reynolds fans or people in general will be like, okay, sure, maybe they did lie about this. People lie occasionally, just because they're lying about this doesn't mean they're lying about something else, or doesn't mean Blake Lively's lying about her experience on the set of It Ends With Us. And that's true. That's true. But you look at Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and they have an overall pattern of bad behaviors and straight up lying. If you go back to old interviews, they'll say one thing, and then an interview later or an interview a year later, they'll change the story or joke, be like, oh yeah, that wasn't true. We like to lie. And overall, if you look at that, it's a pattern. It's a pattern of manipulation and lying. Like I said, they've even joked themselves. They say it jokingly that they like to make up these little stories. They like to fib. Oh, haha, so funny, right? But I don't think it's, just a joke. They pretend it is, but I think they're really telling people who they are, especially Ryan Reynolds. In my opinion, they are the type of people that will step on whoever or whatever it takes to gain more power, control, and money. And to keep the power, control, and money that they already have. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not really going into the details of this case and, what the evidence says for the actual retaliation claims and sexual harassment and stuff. I do, however, can put emotion aside and focus just on the facts. But right now, I just want to open up a course of dialogue, and there's been many other content creators covering this. I just want to think about the bigger picture. And mostly that's not really even Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni themselves. It's more to do with Ryan Reynolds and his connections. However, before I start talking about that, I just want to say that in my opinion, the evidence that I have read seems to strongly support Justin Baldoni and the Wayfair parties, and that Blake Lively is not the victim she has presented herself as. And I know Justin Baldoni is human. He makes mistakes. He's not perfect. Who knows? Maybe he's not a nice guy in real life. I like to think that he is, because there are so few genuine people, especially in Hollywood, that want to make a difference and aren't just self-serving. So I would like to believe he is a good person, and I hope he is. But I understand I don't know him personally. But, like I said, putting that aside and looking at the bigger picture of media manipulation that people in power have and how they lie to shape narratives. Now, whether you're following this case, he said, she said, celebrity gossip, why do we care about it? But when it comes to the bigger picture, I think that's something we all should be concerned about. That we should all be questioning these people at the top, their motives, their narratives that they're putting forth. Yeah, so looking at the bigger picture of media manipulation in the people of power and how they lie and try to shape narratives, this is something we should all be concerned about, especially when it comes to mainstream media. I cannot believe, well, actually, I can believe that they're still running smear articles, in my opinion, against Justin Baldoni in support of Blake Lively and, through extension, Ryan Reynolds, when the facts show otherwise. Mainstream media used to mean something, and the reporters of mainstream media and the journalists would try and tell the truth or capture the realities of a story. In my opinion, mainstream media is just big business now. But it's got me wondering, though. Yes, Ryan Reynolds has money. He's wealthy. And I hear he has, I don't know, around $500 million. However, it might be a lot less now, considering if he's helping his wife with all her legal fees. But still, lots of money. Now, $500 million is a lot of money, especially to someone like me and other working class individuals, and even upper middle class. That's a lot of money. However, compared to the top wealthiest people in the world, and specifically in this case, the United States of America, he's not that wealthy compared to them. And that's, in my opinion, that's the only reason why this case has gone long as it has. Because Justin Baldoni has the financial backing from his friend Steve Sarowitz, who is a billionaire. If Justin Baldoni didn't have Steve and his financial backing and friendship, this case would not have gone as far as it has. And it's sad to say, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, in my opinion, would have gotten away with everything. And then they would be free to go on and continue to pull this type of shitty, disgusting, despicable behavior to other people. And then there would be Justin Baldoni and Wayfair. They would be completely ruined. Their careers would be over in Hollywood. I actually don't even know if they can survive it now. Ryan Reynolds called him a sexual predator. And that's something that's very extreme. And the judge ruled it, oh, is this his opinion based on what his wife has told him? That's a pretty strong opinion. Like, to say someone's a sexual predator, even if everyone with facts and evidence proven to be false, there'll always be some people that are like, yeah, but what if it's true? That sticks with someone. Whether their name's been cleared or not, that's always going to hang over them. And then it also makes you wonder, too, how many times Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively and people like them have done this before. How they've used their money and power and influence and have threatened legal action or scared people off from telling the truth. But that's also another discussion in itself. However, one thing that I really wanted to explore and get others' opinions and thoughts on, it's a bit more specifically Ryan Reynolds, and how it seems that he has a lot of support in high places, and how they have this support, despite a lot of the evidence that the Wayfair team has produced that show that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds aren't the victims, they're the perpetrators. Now, I find myself thinking and just wondering why specifically Ryan Reynolds has the support he does. Like, sure, the original theory was a lot of people are backing Ryan Reynolds because Marvel and Deadpool, and he is a big money maker, for them. So, well, Sony too, don't forget about Sony. That he's a big money maker. So for them, they're willing just to placate them and make this go away because he has earned lots of money. However, there was a recent article that came out and it came to the content creators' attention that Deadpool and Wolverine didn't make as much profit as what was presented to the masses. I think that despite making something over $1 billion in the box office, when you factor in the expenses and promotional expenses, it didn't actually make Disney much profit in the end. Maybe like, what, 30 million? Which, a lot to me, but for a corporation like Disney, that's peanuts to them. So then I ask myself, well, if it's not because Ryan is a big money maker, it can't be because he's buying people off. And this is all my opinion, and might not even be my opinion. Just something I'm thinking about and just throwing ideas around and thoughts around. For example, the Times article that ran about him and his wife, how they're, top influential people. I believe most of us, especially on YouTube, are aware that, Times naming them as influential people and doing good works, etc., wasn't well earned. So then I ask myself, did they buy favor with the Times magazine? Did they pay money for them to run these articles? Maybe. And I have no doubt that this is what they do, and paying people off to run fluff pieces about them. But then I ask myself, well, what about mega companies and the New York Times, or the mega mogul Ari Emanuel, with WME, Selma Hayek, all these people that are very wealthy and even more wealthy and powerful, I would say, than Ryan Reynolds. I have to ask myself, why are they still supporting him and Blake Lively? I have no doubt that many people, especially celebrities, are staying quiet about this until everything is resolved. I believe these celebrities are staying quiet because they want to see which way the wind blows. I have no doubt that Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively do lose this legal battle and get 100% exposed. I think most people, and specifically Hollywood celebrities, will no longer support them, will no longer want to associate them. And yeah, I think a lot of their so-called supporters and friends would all abandon them. Some of them already have. But on the flip side of that, if they come out victorious, I believe all these celebrities would stick with them, even if they knew Justin Baldoni and the Wayfair parties were innocent, and that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively were the real perpetrators. To me, when it comes to these celebrities, and not all of them, but in my opinion, most of them, it's all about protecting themselves, their wealth, their brand, and they will choose to go on whatever side is winning. However, recently, it does appear like continually supporting Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and doing them favors and being seen with them and running supportive articles about them, isn't really working. Content creators and the public as a whole, in my opinion, seem to not be buying any of that bullshit. At the moment, it seems like they are on the losing side. And so instead of standing up for what is right and the truth, some of them are just keeping quiet. However, the ones that are supporting them are publishing articles. But what about the ones that are still publicly supporting them and granting them favors, and like Salma Hayek giving Blake Lively the opportunity to speak about child trafficking? Why are they supporting them still? Is it for the great love of friendship? What can Ryan Reynolds offer these billionaires, these mega moguls? What can he offer them? And this is where I'm going to say something. It's just a thought I've been having in my head. I have no evidence. It might not even be my opinion yet. I just want to throw this around just to create discourse and see what other people think. I'm wondering if the reason Ryan Reynolds appears to have so much support from other powerful people and some celebrities is not necessarily because of his money. It's not because he's a nice, charming guy. That he has all this support and has been getting away with so much over the years is due to blackmail. Straight up blackmail. I believe there has been speculation that Ryan Reynolds in his penthouse apartment likes to record people. I can't but, and I keep going back to it, I can't help but think, why? Why are these people supporting him? What does he have on them? I don't think it's money. I don't think it's his charm. Sure, maybe with Hugh Jackman, it's like a legitimate friendship. And in a way, if they weren't totally on the shitty side, even though I don't really like Hugh Jackman, I kind of admire that about him. Puts his money where his mouth is, he says Ryan's his friend and he's not backing down in his support for his friend. Too bad they're all shitty people. But yes, what I was saying, what does he have on these people? I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's just about friendship and money? Or do you think that Ryan is so methodical and devious that he essentially has like a dossier on people? Or specifically a blackmail file? I know this is all crazy speculation, but it makes me wonder. And if he does, what does he have on people? What people are included? What celebrities, politicians, media moguls, what information he has on them? Because when you look deeply into this case, in my opinion, there are many connections. In specific, this case between Ryan Reynolds and a lot of mega media moguls and billionaires, as other creators have discussed before, I'm not sure if they still are, but both Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were good friends with Harvey Weinstein. And from what I heard, they have attended, and this could be nothing, but they have attended parties with Jeffrey Epstein. So it makes me wonder, not so much Blake Lively herself. When it comes to her, I think she's a mean girl and not a nice person. And she likes to manipulate people herself. But I don't think she's the overall architect of these devious schemes and plans they put forth, in my opinion. The only reason Blake Lively has had this success that she has had is because of her marriage with Ryan Reynolds. So that's why I'm specifically focusing on Ryan Reynolds. The whole Van Sham thing with his Van Zandt company, or Van Zandt Shell company, and how he's trying to stop people from really poking around there. I just can't help but think he's involved in a lot more shady shit. More specifically, criminal activity. And this is my opinion, but I think there needs to be a deeper investigation into Ryan Reynolds on multiple fronts. A criminal front and also a financial front. After all this, if I was an agent for the IRS, I would flag his files and I would send them to be audited. I would follow the money and see where that leads me. So getting back to the main case in this, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Jennifer Abel, if they're the victims in this, and I do believe they are, as I do not believe Justin Baldoni sexually harassed or assaulted Blake Lively. I hope they prevail. But like I said, people ask, what's with the interest in this case? And at face value, it is important as well. It's horrible being accused of something you didn't do, especially being called a sexual predator. That in itself is something heinous. But if we're not focusing on the actual lawsuit, my main interest, like I said in this case, is the power dynamics, media manipulation, SEO manipulation that is involved in this case. The people in positions of power and wealth controlling narratives, hiding criminal activity, maybe even money laundering. I don't know, but I feel like I'm not trying to focus just on Ryan Reynolds, even though I think he's a horrible person in my opinion. But I feel like, and I'm not big on conspiracies, but I feel like shady shit happens all the time. The people, the 1%, the elites. Sure, are there some genuine good people at the top? Probably. But people don't usually get to the top and stay at the top by being good people and following all the rules. What I would like to see, obviously, is people that are the victims in this case prevail, that the truth comes out, and people for who they are exposed. But also, I would hope that content creators, or as they were deemed, mommy sleuths, I hope they keep digging, even outside this case. I don't think people should harass anyone, but keep asking questions. Start with Ryan Reynolds. Follow all the different threads and find out where they lead to, what people they lead to, what are the connections there. And I think it is important to hold mainstream media accountable. And if they're just protecting themselves because of liability, because they backed the wrong horse and are too fucking coward to own up on their mistakes because they might get sued, if that's the case, then we don't fucking need them. What do they have to offer to us? They need us. We don't need them anymore. Also, I guess we'll see if my audio video gets flagged and or manipulated, silenced where the audio is missing, as I have heard that has happened to other content creators. We'll see what happens to this. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you, all of you that listened to my rant. And me explaining why I'm interested in this case and why I think it's much more important than many people who aren't following this case realize. I hope everyone has a good weekend, and let me know your thoughts and opinions. Let's start a dialogue and see where it leads. Everyone has their own opinions, and just be respectful. You can disagree with my opinion, with somebody's opinion in the comments. Just don't be a douche. Don't personally attack people. Thanks again. Bye.